The wind rolled across the prairie like a warning the day Clara Whitfield arrived at Red Hollow Ranch. Dust clung to her skirt, her hands trembled around the small leather bag that carried everything she owned, and her heart beat with a fear she could not quiet. People in town had spoken of the cowboy who lived beyond the cottonwood ridge in low voices. Elias Crow, they said, was hard as the land he worked. A widower, a man who needed a servant, not a wife. Clara had come because she had nowhere else to go. She had imagined cruelty before she ever saw him. A rough voice, cold eyes, orders barked like commands to a horse. That was how men were when women depended on them, at least that was what life had taught her. So when she stepped down from the wagon and saw Elias standing by the corral, tall and still, his hat casting a shadow over his face, she braced herself. Elias watched her quietly. He saw the way her shoulders were stiff with fear, how she kept her gaze low, as if expecting a blow. It stirred something in him he hadn't felt in years. Guilt, maybe, or recognition. When his wife had first come west with him, she'd worn that same guarded look, one that slowly disappeared as they built a life together. Then sickness had taken her, and silence had claimed the ranch. "You're Clara," he said at last. "Yes, sir," she answered quickly. He frowned at the word sir. "You don't need to call me that." She nodded but didn't meet his eyes. He gestured toward the house, a modest structure worn by time but solid against the plains. "You can set your things inside. Supper'll be ready soon." That was it. No list of rules. No sharp tone. The absence of cruelty unsettled her more than its presence would have. Days passed, and Clara waited for the harshness she believed must come. She rose before dawn, scrubbed floors until her hands ached, cooked meals with quiet care, and spoke only when spoken to. Elias noticed everything. He noticed how she flinched if he moved too quickly, how she apologized for things that weren't her fault, how she slept lightly, like someone always ready to run. He never raised his voice. He never demanded more than she could give. Sometimes he'd sit at the table after supper, saying nothing, letting the crackle of the fire fill the space between them. Clara began to realize that the silence wasn't threatening. It was lonely. One evening, a storm rolled in fast and furious, lightning tearing across the sky. Clara dropped a plate in the kitchen when thunder shook the house. She crouched instinctively, arms over her head, breath coming fast. Elias rushed in, kneeling beside her. "Hey," he said softly. "You're safe." She shook, tears spilling before she could stop them. "I'm sorry. I'll clean it up. I didn't mean." "Clara," he interrupted, his voice firm but gentle. "You don't have to be afraid here." She looked at him then, really looked at him, and saw concern etched into his weathered face. Not anger, not impatience. Something inside her cracked. The truth came out slowly after that, like water seeping through dry ground. She spoke of the man she had fled, of years spent being useful only when silent, of learning to expect pain as payment for shelter. Elias listened without interrupting, his jaw tight, his hands clenched as if holding back a storm of his own. When she finished, she waited for judgment. Instead, he stood and paced the room, then stopped in front of her. "I didn't bring you here to replace anyone," he said. "And I sure as hell didn't bring you here to serve me." She swallowed. "Then why did you answer the notice?" He hesitated, as if choosing words that mattered. "Because this place gets heavy with just one heartbeat in it." The days that followed changed in quiet ways. He insisted. She rest when she was tired. He showed her how to ride the fence line, how to read the sky for weather, how to laugh again, even if it came out unsure at first. She began to lift her head when she walked. She began to feel like more than a shadow moving through someone else's life. One night, as the sun bled red across the horizon, Clara told him she planned to leave. She had saved a little money. She didn't want to be a burden. Elias stared out at the land, then turned to her, his eyes steady. "I don't need a servant," he said. "I need you to stay." Her breath caught. "You don't owe me anything." "I know," he replied. "That's why I'm asking." In that moment, Clara understood something she had never been given before. Choice. She chose to stay, not because she had to, but because she was wanted. And as the prairie stretched endlessly around them, she realized that love, like the West, was not meant to be conquered through fear, but built through trust, one quiet day at a time.